What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MikeTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm talking about The Monkey. Which one? The one that was in theaters. That was released by Neon. So stop spanking it and click like and subscribe because I'd like to create a little bit of a cult following for me here so I can sell you coffee mugs with my face on it. I don't know why, there's other YouTubers have merch and it's not really my goal, but I love that it's the goal of others. So why not? Why not? Isn't that just like keeping up with the Joneses? Anyway, this movie does have audio description. I don't know who did it. It's all right. We'll get to that. It's fine. Um, and it's Osgood Perkins's follow-up to Longlegs. So he's obviously making a stamp for himself in the horror genre. It stars Theo James, and sort of downstream from there, Tatiana Maslany has second billing here, but the problem is that Theo James is really the lead, and then kind of Christian Convery. It's really hard to say that they're not the lead because they play the same character. So it's about these twin brothers that grow up. So basically, Christian plays the younger version. So he's having to play two people, and then Theo James is having to play two people. So the amount of screen time that they have is amplified because they're playing two characters. So Tatiana Maslany plays one. I know she has higher name recognition than Christian Convery, but Christian should really have second billing. If you don't know who he is, then you didn't watch Sweet Tooth. He's Gus from Sweet Tooth. He's grown up a little bit, especially when he has to play the difference between the brothers. I was actually really impressed. There's one of the brothers is a little bit more of an asshole, which is completely not like Gus. Gus was the adorable, sweet little want to hug him dear child of Sweet Tooth, and to see him play Bill is crazy. It just is. Down from there, you've got Colin O'Brien, who is another young actor that's been up and coming in Hollywood for a while. I really loved his performance in Dear Edward, the short-lived Apple Plus show that deserved to run for more than one season. Then you have people like Tatiana Maslany and Elijah Wood, who have a little bit more name recognition to them, who are here. And even Osgood Perkins decides to step into one of the roles. So what is The Monkey? I'm not like trying this is not like a spoiler review where I'm going to break down like element by element, but this is one of those movies it's impossible to talk about without spoilers. So we open up at the beginning of the film and we see that there's this pilot who's played by Adam Scott, and he's trying to get rid of this toy monkey with a drum. It's based on a short story by Stephen King, by the way. And he wants to get rid of this monkey, and he's afraid of what happens when the monkey starts to drum. And the shop owner ends up, he's like, I don't want to buy your monkey, man. He's like, you don't understand. If it drops, then we're all fucked. If the arm drops. Which of course drops. I'm sure this is what was in like the Red Band sequence. I didn't watch the Red Band trailer, but I would imagine this is probably the Red Band trailer. Because it introduces a lot behind the concept of the film. It's just like the opening sequence. And then you sort of get, because you immediately get a vibe for what the movie's going for, are these sort of like Final Destination-y type kills where there's almost like a domino effect and then something happens. And they're always like wild and crazy circumstances too. No one in this movie dies in any sort of way that would be remotely good. There isn't one death that you could take that you could take out of this movie and put into a PG-13 movie. I truly believe there isn't one PG-13 death in this movie. Every single death. IMDb's second genre for this is splatter horror, and I fully agree with that. I do not disagree. No one has a good death in this movie. No one. It's if you love gore, this is your movie. Osgood Perkins has found you, and he has made a gory movie for you. It is over the top. It's insane. Everyone dies in horrific ways. So, uh, that beyond the opening sequence, which I won't tell you how it ends, but I'm assuming that's probably the Red Band trailer. Uh, so we learn about that, and then we cut to he has that guy, I guess, had a family, and so he's left behind these two young kids, which are Bill and Hal, played by young Kristen Convery at the beginning, but we still have the adult narration from adult version, who will later be Theo James, sort of recounting the story of their childhood and the brothers. And Bill is like slightly older, and there's a joke about how he ate more of the placenta, so he's like, I don't know, stronger or whatever. He's just a he's just a bitch, man. He's just like the kid's a bully. He's one of those kids that you introduce in a movie that you're like, this kid's definitely gonna die, right? This kid's an asshole, like in every single scene. He's never not an asshole. Like he never has like a realization where he's like, oh, I'm a bit much, aren't I? I never liked that version of him. It's the contrast is so stark. It's amazing that the mom doesn't see it. The mom is played by Tatiana Maslany. It's amazing that she doesn't notice that one of her kids is a complete twat and the other one is just normal. Like, he's not nerdy. It's that Bill is so aggressively in your face all the time. Like, Bill could rush a fraternity at like the age of 8 and get in. Like he's got that kind of energy where the frat boys would be like, yeah, he's one of us, man. He's ready to go haze some people. um, I don't know. But of course the monkey appears out of nowhere because that's kind of what the monkey does. It just appears out of nowhere multiple times, by the way. That's the thing about the monkeys. It's like supernatural powers to just, you think you can get rid of it, but you really can't. So I guess because dad, I'm assuming this means dad is dead somehow. So it just gets passed around to him, passed around to the kids. Their dad is gone, like he left or whatever. That's what their mom told him. But now the monkey is transferred to them, and Bill is eager to grab it. He's like, I'm the next of skin. And so he plays with it and twists it. And don't twist the key on the monkey, man. That's lesson number 1. And well, it's already done. So like it's already set in motion from that point on. And essentially they go out with this babysitter goes out and doesn't come back. So they lose their babysitter, who Bill had a crush on, and they don't understand why. And then Hal is persistently berated by his brother, so he thinks that the monkey, which he has no real logical reason to think this, but he thinks that the monkey might have been the reason that they don't have a babysitter anymore. And so he turns the key. So now they've both turned the key. And, but it doesn't kill, you can't use it, it's not a weapon. So you can't say, I turned the key and you die. So they learn that real fast. So never the person, so he actually tries to kill his brother. He has another sequence where he imagines doing it, like he dreams about killing his brother. So, which they show, by the way. Shocking and gory all of a sudden, just random dream sequence. But so from there, then they both turn the key, so they're both sort of attached to the monkey, which is going to haunt them for the rest of their life as people continue to die. So they lose more people, and then they keep losing people, and they keep wanting to get rid of the monkey. They try to dispose of it, um, and they can't. And they think that they've gotten away from it, but there's sort of a twist involving all of that and how it comes back around. And we jump like, I don't know, like 25 years into the future, and then that's how we get grown-up versions of these characters played by Theo James. And uh, then we get Hal as a kid. I don't know why. I mean, come on, man. Life choices. You know what I'm saying? Like, just out of sheer caution, I wouldn't have passed that down to another generation. Let it die with you, you know? Just, but he had a kid who's played by Colin O'Brien, Petey. And so uh, he has this like one weekend with Petey. He's tried to like stay away from Petey to like keep him safe. I'm like, why did you ever even, why did you have relationships with people? Like, why any of this? Like, some of this stuff doesn't make any sense. It's not like logical character choices for somebody who's in this sort of situation. Like, we've seen this happen, and the characters who like survive in Final Destination go and like live in the woods by themselves. You know, they're like, everybody has to stay away from me. Yeah. Um. So I expected them to become hermits. To some extent, Bill is, which you'll see later, but he's not at the same time. I mean, he hasn't really removed himself from the world. He's just sort of weird. Um, so deaths start happening again, and noticeably so, because again, nobody ever dies in a normal way. So it's pretty easy to tell when the monkeys killed somebody versus when somebody just dies. I actually thought it would have been funny for somebody to just die, like normally, and then them wonder if that was the monkey, and then like make a joke about like how no, people don't just have heart attacks or something, you know, like no, that's not one, you know, because some of the deaths are brutal. And you can see most of them coming from a mile away. There's sort of like a montage of them at one point, which is sort of unexpected because I haven't montaged before. But yeah. And then it kind of barrels towards the end, which has these brothers sort of going up against each other, but Hal also has Petey with him. There's also this other kid, Ricky, who appears out of nowhere and seems to know way too much and is drawn to the monkey for no apparent reason whatsoever. It's kind of a really underdeveloped character who just sort of appears in the movie. And I never really had high hopes for him as a character. I was never like, wow, they didn't do enough with him. He's a very sort of like one note function type character. Like, I do this. This is what I'm here for. And he's not introduced in a way where you would think, oh, that poor guy, don't want anything to happen. It's like, no, well, he's obnoxious too. So the movie kind of spirals out of control, and definitely by the end, you're just like, well, we just threw caution to the wind. I kind of questioned the fact that it's, you know, a lot of people mentioned that, you know, they're like, oh, these deaths are played for laughs, and I'm like, not really. I mean, not until the end. Not until they kind of admit the fact that the monkey is absurd. You know, there are some deaths towards the end which are clearly played for laughs. They're still gory, but there are some deaths towards the end where the tonality kind of shifts. But in the beginning, when they're still sort of learning what things are, I wouldn't say these deaths are played for laughs. I mean, there's definitely there are scarier movies out there. So I'm not saying that the movie is terrifying, but it's not really not playing it straight right away. So performances, everybody's good. The people who are in the movie longer and are not just here to die are, you know, have a little bit more to do. Theo James and Christian Convery, especially because they have to play two different versions of the character. So I give them props for doing that. Um, Theo, especially later on in life, has found a lot of really good work for himself. And Christian, coming out of Sweet Tooth, this is something I'm surprised that he's really good at playing the Bill character, because it's completely unlike what he was doing on Sweet Tooth. So very happy that he's here doing it. And also, I really like Colin O'Brien, and I like the fact that he keeps being given roles to push his career forward. So a nice little cast full of people. Uh, I should you watch it if you like gore? Yeah, if you're here for scares, it's not particularly scary unless you're scared of gore, and in which case, yes. There are maybe some jump scares, but not really, because I only say jump scares because there are times when it kind of suddenly shows you, like I said, like the montage, because it hasn't montaged. And then, so there's somebody who's like describing things that happened, and it does show like every single one, but you don't know that it's going to, but it does. So I would say like that's maybe a jump scare. I don't know. There aren't really a lot of actual jump scare moments, though. I mean, not in the traditional sense. Um, yeah, I think Osgood is just really just trying to make his stamp in the horror genre, and make make himself known as being somebody who can make consistently good horror movies. Yeah, I would say this is good. It's not my favorite movie of the year. I liked Longlegs better. I thought it had more style to it. This is kind of just like, again, it feels like Final Destination. It's like we create a death trap or a situation, and you kind of, you see that you can feel that somebody's ticket has been punched. You know what I'm saying? You're like, well, this person's about to die, and okay, so that's probably, you're like, oh, there's a sharp blade there. Great. I'm sure that's going to come in handy, you know? And even when there isn't something around that is uh, handy, like the monkey finds a way to bring something cartoonishly in that will kill them. So just because you're not around anything dangerous doesn't mean that something dangerous won't find you. uh, Audio description. So I've listened to some people talk about this. I'm obviously reviewing The Monkey late, and I've read some of the deaths described, and I didn't get that from some of the audio description. Specifically, there's a stampede death that I think was totally missed because I guess uh, you open up the bag and we do get to see what's inside, and that was not translated. So, um, yeah, it didn't feel like it was, compared to what I've heard other people talk about and what I've read about. It doesn't feel like I got the same experience remotely in that and some of the other sequences. Also, the timing is weird. Sometimes it's balancing a lot with where do we put it? Do we put it before? Do we put it after? So, so sometimes the thing has already happened and then it like explains it to you afterwards. So, I don't know how I feel about that. Some of the deaths are, um, it's like you could describe it while it's happening. Like the sound effect of it happening is not uniquely interesting enough for us to just stop. It's not like somebody's talking. There's just a sound effect. And it's not like that sound effect is so uniquely amazing that I'm like, oh, wow, I have to hear the gurgling. Thank you. Thank you for not telling me what it is that's happening. And I'll wait. I'll wait until it's done. So it's sort of, there are certain genres that allow for more audio description, and especially if they're not dialogue heavy because of the visuals. Sci-fi is one of them because there's so many things in sci-fi fantasy that have no basis in reality that you have to spend a lot of time describing them. Horror is one of those too, because if you want to be good at it, you have to describe the gore. which to some extent there is a lot of gore that is described here, but some of it, the beats are weird, and some of it I also felt like we didn't quite get the kill the way that it seems to be presented. Um, but it's not a bad track. It's just, I've heard greatness, and I wouldn't call this that. I wouldn't call this excellence in audio. It's like above and beyond. I would call this sufficient audio description. I think you'll get what you want out of it. I think there are a couple things that I would have tried to tweak. But other than that, it's mixed well. I didn't mind the choice of narrator. All of those kind of things worked for me. There's just a couple little things having to do sort of genre specific that I kind of question whether or not we could have made maybe a different choice. So, those are just my thoughts. The Monkey. I have to think about, like, I'm not a huge gore fan, and I mentioned this in some other reviews. I didn't used to watch movies like this when I could see. This is one of like the most interesting things about becoming blind is I've seen way more horror movies. I've caught up on horror movies I didn't see, because I was kind of a baby. But it's so much easier to have things described to you than it is actually seeing them. So I never would have seen The Monkey. I can tell you I would have turned it off or walked out. Like, I would not have made it through. It's way too gory. It's way over the top. It's not the kind of movie. Um, like, part of me has always wanted to watch, uh, just some of the movies from the past, but they don't all have audio description, that I know were overtly gory, but I skipped them anyway. Um, like, I can't even think of the name of it right now. Like James Gunn's movie that he started out with Nathan Fillion. Like I knew that was gory, and I didn't watch it. So I want to. And now that I am seeing movies like this, it's not like it's still not my jam, but I think I can recognize that a lot of people would like this. The pacing is fine. Um, all I would knock it for is tonality, like consistency and tonality. It's not necessarily funny, and it kind of tries to be a comedy more towards the end. Uh, and that's kind of, you know, I don't know, pick a lane. If you want to be a horror comedy, be a horror comedy. And I think that's something that we've seen recently with films that have struggled with trying to be graphically violent and also trying to be a horror comedy. I think Heart Eyes has a really hard time balancing the mean-spiritedness of many of the kill sequences with being a horror comedy in the traditional sense of when you look at films like Shaun of the Dead and Cooties and Tucker and Dale versus Evil and some of the ones that are obviously horror comedies, there's less of a mean-spiritedness behind it than there is with some of the deaths in that movie. I would say Fear Street has a little bit of the same problem. So this kind of has that too in the beginning, where it's not clearly defined as being a comedy. The deaths aren't really funny. You won't start laughing until towards the end of the movie. So again, the tone shift is just, yeah. So I'm gonna give The Monkey a B. I think a lot of horror fans are gonna like it, because a lot of horror fans just show up for gore, honestly, and they show up for the kill sequences, and the kill sequences here are, they never. What is a simple decapitation would be the cleanest death here. Like, I mean, we have a person who entirely explodes, and I'm not even sure scientifically it makes any sense. Like, what they do and how they set up and why it is that they explode, I'm not even sure it makes sense, but they do anyway. It's possible that the guy who's attacked by his espresso machine, maybe that is the safest death. But I mean, you can do a lot with somebody's skin melting off. I don't know, man. I like there's a guy who chokes on his vape. Maybe that was the cleanest death. But I don't know. That's probably, honestly, that probably is the cleanest death. Choking on your vape. I don't think, because it's not like the vape exploded inside of his head or his throat or anything like that. So that's the cleanest death. That's it. There you go. Guy chokes on vape. Cleanest death in the movie. I found it. Um, so everything else is, I don't need to see it again. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.